You're watching Poland Daily News. My name is Aleksander Wierzejski. Welcome. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky turned on air raid siren using his mobile during an on-camera address, saying that he wished to demonstrate to the world how ordinary Ukrainians have to live under Russian air assault. Zelensky held up his mobile phone and let the siren sound for 20 seconds.
Now don't be scared. You will hear what we have been living for 25 days now. The sound has become familiar to all our cities. That was 20 seconds. And we hear it for hours, days, weeks. Our people hear it all the time. And immediately they take children, help the elderly, go to shelters, to basement to save themselves, to survive from Russian missiles and bombs. With the sounds of this siren, Ukrainians live, work, try to sleep, get treatment for wounds, give birth to children, die. Please do not sponsor the war machine of this country, Russia. No euros for the occupiers. Close all your ports to them. Don't supply them with goods. Refuse Russian energy resources. Push Russia to leave Ukraine. And I know that peace is possible, but you must act to reach peace. The European Union's foreign ministers disagreed on Monday on whether and how to slap sanctions on Russia's lucrative energy sector over its invasion of Ukraine, with Germany saying the bloc was too dependent on Russian oil to decide an embargo. Ukrainian officials imposed a day-and-a-half curfew in the capital Kiyev from Monday night, while suburbs in the path of Russia's advance have been largely reduced to rubble. While the war rages on across the country, Russia's assault on Ukraine, now in its fourth week, has stalled among most fronts. Moscow has failed to seize a single major Ukrainian city, much less capture the capital Kyiv, or swiftly topple the Zelensky government.
For 26 days, the Ukrainian capital has been defending itself against an attack by Russian troops. Kyiv is the oldest city in Ukraine. It is worth remembering that its history is intertwined with the history of Poland. And more in a report by Michał Trześniewski.
W Kijowie do dzisiaj można natknąć się na liczne
Polish traces are still visible in Kiev. They are mostly visible in the architecture of the city. At the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, Polish architects gave style to the city. Władysław Horodecki is called the Ukrainian Gaudi. Many characteristical buildings of the Ukrainian capitals are of his authorship. For example, the Catholic Church of St. Nicholas, built in 1907. A group of parishioners in St. Alexander's Church, where there were already about 40,000 believers, received permission from the authorities to build another church. It was issued by Tsar Nicholas, and therefore the church is named after St. Nicholas. In times of mass terror in 1938, first parish priest was sent to gulags, and another priest, Kwaśniewski, was murdered here in church on electric chair. The church was taken away, the believers were repressed. President Zelensky called this church one of the 7 wonders of Kyiv. During the war, for safety reasons, we meet in the lower church, both on Sundays and on weekdays.
Władysław Horodecki tworzył na przełomie XIX.
Władysław Horodecki created at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries in Kiev. He designed, among other things, the Museum of Ukrainian Art and the Karaite Temple, which is behind my back. Horodecki's most outstanding work is his house on Bankova Street, called the House Under the Heimers. It is now one of the residences of the President of Ukraine. We cannot approach there because of the war conditions. Building of this famous architect stand in the center of the city. He lived in Kiev, Ukraine. His whole life was connected to this city. Simply, he was a Kiev Pole. Poles have been connected with this city for centuries throughout history. Borders have changed and Poles have lived here for hundreds of years. Many buildings were designed by Poles. Here stands the Bessarabian Market, a market hall standing in the very center of the city. It was designed by Henryk Gaj. Formerly, Kyiv belonged to Poland for 100 years, from 1569, but Poles have always lived here and once made up an elite of the city. Michał Trześniewski and Mikołaj Jeremienko, Republika Television.
Społeczną elitę miasta. Z Kijowa Michał Trześniewski, Mikołaj Jeremienko, Telewizja Republika.
Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki met with the leaders of the parliamentary groups. The talks concerned the situation in Ukraine and the humanitarian crisis in the region related to Russia's invasion. Government spokesman Piotr Müller said it concerned issues that would require a constitutional amendment for their implementation.
Pierwszym z tych punktów, który zaproponowaliśmy.
The Prime Minister presented 3 proposals for a package of legal changes that are necessary to enforce actions related to Russian private entities and those belonging to the Russian Federation. These are companies that co-finance Russia's war machine. Its effects we can see in Ukraine. The first point is the issue related to the possibility of seizing Russian assets and entities that co-finance Russia. It cannot be that those entities that at this moment do not want to withdraw from financing the Russian regime were treated in the same way as those who made this responsible decision to leave Russia. The third issue is to accelerate expenditure of armaments, as Russia's military activities may extend to the territory of Poland and Baltic states.
Które są realizowane przez Rosję.
That was the news for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, same time.